Hey guys, CJ Inferno here today with another review. So today's review is for Monster Hunter Stories 3, which has recently come out. A bit late to the party, but better late than never, I guess. I want to say a quick shout out to Guillotine for providing me a code for the game so I can bring you this review and other videos that have come up on my channel. And yeah, it's not going to be too much of a long review, but I'll try keep it short. So the story for Monster Hunter Stories 3. Essentially, two countries are on the brink of war, on the path of destruction more or less, Azuria and Vermilion. And essentially there are two Rathalos, which one belongs to each country. Well, essentially both was in Azuria first, but for story wise, if you played the demo, you'd know why one has gone and disappeared. But you basically play as the son or daughter, depending on who you choose on the character creator, of the Azuria Kingdom, and your task is essentially to try and stop the war and essentially stop the world's destruction as well. So throughout the story, you basically start off in Azuria and then eventually go off into different territories as well. I'm not going to explain too much of it just to avoid spoilers, but overall the story and how it was presented and stuff, I really enjoyed. The characters that you meet also I really enjoyed. This is actually my first time playing a Monster Hunter Stories game from start to finish. Other ones I like started and I just never really got into it, but this one I really did for some reason, maybe because it's just a bit more modern. But yeah, overall story was good, voice acting was very good in my opinion, the characters and how they're presented were good as well, as long as like the side content as well. For the most part, the side content was quite nice. The main characters that you journey with have their own little side story. I enjoy that for the most part, like something a bit of a break from doing the main story. The side quest in itself is pretty much your typical side questing in most games these days. Go and defeat this monster, go and fetch this, give me a certain amount of items, go and find X amount of collectibles here or whatever throughout the world. But nothing too special. They do help you in the long run with like recipes and stuff that you can get, decorations you can get as well to enhance like your weapons, your armor as well, and all that stuff. But you know, nothing too special. The stand for side quests and everything. But yeah, overall the story and how it was presented and like some of the twists and turns that happened throughout it as well, actually it kept me quite captivated. So I'm very happy on that end. Now, in terms of gameplay, Monster Hunter Stories 3 is essentially turn-based, which I know a fair amount of people will like and also dislike as well. I enjoy it when it's done good. Obviously, sometimes it could be done bad, but in this case, for the most part, it was done quite well. Essentially, you go around with your monsters that you can find throughout the world. Essentially, you have to find the egg, hatch it, and then level it up, right? And leveling up is super easy in this game, from just collecting material, beating higher level enemies, and maybe there's like some other ways as well you can do as well, but you know, there's a fair amount you can do. So you just go around, beat up enemies, and you're good to go. Now there's no difficulty in the game, so that could be a game breaker for some people. Personally, me, I wasn't too fussed. However, I did realize like coming to like certain parts of the game, like the way the enemy level spike is pretty bad in my opinion. Like, I don't expect it to be like I can just steamroll through everything, right? But I reach a certain point and these enemies are just one-shotting me, and I'm like, bro, what is happening? It's not like I've neglected my armor and stuff. I've always upgraded it or try and get like a newer one that can give me like good defense. I've always had good decorations on them as well. I even have buffs to increase my defense and stuff, and I was still getting one shot, and I was like, this is not right for some of these fights. Like, obviously some of them I can expect, especially when you're facing like the elder dragons and stuff, but story wise I was like, no, this is not right at all. So I think balancing is a bit of a hit and miss, especially near the end of the game, but for the most part you'll be fine. So you can always like mitigate with like some strategies and stuff, but yeah, it can get a bit annoying at some points. Now the world itself, I actually enjoyed exploring for the most part. So there's a wide range of abilities that you can get with your monsters. So glide, roar, dig, swim, hell, there's even stealth, which I never got, but I think certain monsters have that in the game. I don't know how useful that would be, but hey, it's an option, right? And obviously, if you want to go and get higher tier monsters, there's this thing called like habitat restoration, where essentially you release the same monsters over and over to increase the rank that they have. So it's from C rank to S rank, and then there's also a chance that there's like mutations that can happen. And when that happens, you'll start to see them roaming around in that specific area as well. So for example, the first area, when you unlock it, you can get a Rathian, and then you can actually get like different variants of it as well. Now, bear in mind, some of these are pretty strong leveled, so do keep that in mind. But some of them can also have dual elements as well, which can be very helpful for some of the fights later on. So for the most part, you know, unless you're trying to super min max, a lot of the fights can be just done with like the monsters that you just find throughout the world, like when you go into like the dens and stuff. But yeah, overall gameplay wise, I was pleasantly surprised by it. I enjoyed it thoroughly, though coming near to the end of the game, I will not lie, I was starting to get a bit tilted because certain monsters and boss fights were just one-shotting me all the time, and I'm like, bro, this is so not fair, man. But that's just the life of turn-based games, eh? Now, in terms of the music, I would say it was done well for the most part. A lot of the times, I wasn't paying too much attention to the music. I was more focused on like not trying to die half the time in some of these fights. But when I went back to go and listen to some of the tracks, I definitely felt they'd done quite well with them, especially like, you know, the final boss and all the stuff that plays after that as well. Those are really nice. You know, some tracks can be a bit hit and miss. I think that's just the nature of games these days. You know, there's always going to be like some that are good, some that are like okay, and some are just like, nah, it's not it, bro. But for the most part, I think they've done a decent job on the soundtrack itself. Now, for improvements of the game, I would say there's not really much to be improved on. I would say the only thing that could be a concern is the balancing in the game, which I already kind of talked about, right? This is just that some fights, especially as I said later on in the game, where enemies can essentially do one-shot moves, and it's like, okay, they're charging up for it. You think, okay, it'll maybe take a couple turns or something, right? No, literally they can charge up, and sometimes they can go straight away and hit you with it, and it's just like, how is that kind of fair? You know, obviously you can go back and prepare and all that stuff and mitigate all that stuff, but you know, it just seems to me like some of these fights were definitely a bit out of tune. You know, hell, even trying to say flash an enemy or stun them or even like use traps and stuff, half the time it didn't even work for me. And I said, bro, is this all right or something? Like if I'm going against like a normal mob, right, 9 times out of 10 half of the stuff work. But when it comes to some of these boss fights, yeah, I understand that if it will always work on them, it would just basically make the boss fight dead easy, right? But when it's missing like 90% of the times I'm using it, it gets to the point like, right, is this move even worth using when it comes to these boss fights or the items as well? So in that regard, it can be a hit and miss. You know, obviously I don't expect it to be too hard, but at the same time I kind of do expect it to be somewhat fair. Now, in terms of performance of the game, I played on PC, which was very nice. So obviously there's a demo, if you guys haven't been aware of it, so you can actually get a taste of the game and see if it runs well for you, especially if you're playing it on PC or whatnot, or if you want to get it on consoles, it's there as well. But in the full release, the game still runs well for me. I didn't run into any issues, although from what I was reading, for some people it was crashing quite a bit. Thankfully, I didn't get a crash, which is nice, because I know sometimes getting a crash in like the worst possible place can really set you back and like demotivate you as well. So hopefully they fix that soon. In terms of like graphical options, there's quite a bit. The only downside is that, you know, if you're on ultra wide like me, there's no ultra wide option. So I literally had to pay in 1440p. Obviously I do have a 4K monitor there, but I like to like play on my ultra wide for the most part. As weird as that sounds now, I've only been on ultra wide for like a couple months, and yeah, it's like no going back at this point. But enough of that. Overall performance piece for PC has been good. Obviously I know it differs for different people, but for me, in my experience, it was done well. With that said and all done, come to the end of the video. So is Monster Hunter Stories 3 worth getting? Absolutely is. Now, obviously for some people it'll be a bit hit and miss, but I say if you're into the whole JRPG and turn-based, I would definitely say give this a shot. If you're a Monster Hunter fan, you already know what you're getting into, so this is a no-brainer. Although for some people they are fans, but they don't really like the whole turn-based stuff and like whole finding eggs and management and everything. But it's nice once you get the hang of it, right? But there's no need to rush and all of that stuff. But yeah, it's my recommendation. Honestly, it's a really good game, really good story, really good voice acting, and yeah, Capcom actually done a very good job for it, especially for like me who has barely played a Monster Hunter Stories game before. To just be able to jump straight into this one and play it from start to finish has been a very, very good good experience for the most part. But yeah, if you're like on the fence of it and stuff, I'll say get it. Obviously, you know, you can always wait for a sale and all of that stuff, but you know, I would say go and get the game. Like if you've got nothing else to play and all that, go and get the game. It's really that good. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this somewhat short review, bit of a quick one. So yeah, if you guys got any questions about the game and stuff, do let me know down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.